All right, welcome back to Combust Astrology. My name is Liv. Let's actually dive into what we're talking about. Um, I'm recording in this video, I think I'm going to do these partial solar eclipse first, and then I'll cover the Neptune after. I even took some notes for the Neptune transit, so we'll definitely be looking at that in depth. So let's actually talk about the partial solar eclipse in Aries now, and kind of outline where you are at is obviously going to affect what the rising might be. However, I just really want to focus on the core of the planets itself to give a good idea and a good point of view about what we could expect. So first and foremost, the sun and the moon are in Aries. It's a new start. I told a lot of people that, Aries season doesn't really start on the 20th or 21st. It really starts on the 4th of April. So I wouldn't even say it starts here either. You kind of want to let the dust settle. But if you had to start, you just wanted it to get down, these 2 days might definitely come out with a bang. So let's actually talk about what we see in the chart. So we got the sun and the moon in Aries. So let's actually take a look at what we have in Aries. That sun, moon, we got the Mercury, and then we also have Chiron, right? So we got ego, we have emotions, we have intellect, and then we have wounds, right? Now, these four planets being bundled up in a Martian sign that definitely wants to exert itself with a retrograded Mercury that doesn't want to think before it exerts itself could be troublesome. You know, your sense of self and your emotional sense of self and what you're recalling is on the fritz, and it's all in a very explosive sign. Yes, this is a new beginning. Yes, we are taking suit of what it is that we want in the future, but the light's still not green. Imagine you're at a drag strip and you're there and the light's like red, and then it's on yellow. Get your engines ready, get started. You should already be revved up. And it sits there instead of like 5, 10 seconds for a minute. When you watch NFL football players get ready and they're saying down, set, hike. We're in that right before you turn your head, like, why isn't it started? And you take your mind off of the snap itself and then hike. Don't have a false start. Don't hit the gas pedal yet. Wait. Really feel the tension build up. And then go. That is, if I had to summarize this, what this is. Now you have to go through it. It's so much easier to say something than to actually experience it. So I understand this. We're going to take a look at the Pisces placements in the chart and seeing how they are currently sitting with Saturn. We got the North Node there, and we have the ascendant. Oh, let me not include that in this chart because, to be fair, it might be something else for someone else's chart. Um, then we got Venus and Neptune. How do we cement time? How do we actually move towards that goal? How do we actually look at our values and how do we create this fantasy forever? These two together is passion. This is the beautiful start of something amazing. And we've experienced this energy time and time again since January in many different ways. When the North Node was in Pisces, when we got Pisces mixed with some of the Capricorn placements, when we had that Moon in Taurus, when all these little iterations of this energy to finally come into fruition after we're leaving Aquarius, Stellium, going into Aries and Pisces, all these little things. Pluto here is not really giving us rest and reprieve. It's not giving us a moment to think before we actually leap. And most of all, Pluto is sextiling all of this, and it has been for the time being, up until even when you're seeing this now. Pluto in Aquarius has been having its time here touching these planets. I know it's out of sign. I know that astral gold will either not put the aspects to the planet or it's retrograded. I don't know why it's not aspecting, but it's an aspect. And it's very daunting how much you feel like you got to start. And here I am telling you not to, but you're like, I need to, I need to. You're feral. You're sick. You really want to go. Patience. Because we have already gotten into position. We have gotten in our set stance. And we're just waiting. Now that you've turned your head, why hasn't it started? Just wait a little bit longer. That's when we do start. The idea of eclipses take a while to show themselves. We know that. However, we also know that Uranus is going into Gemini later on this year. We already have Pluto here, and we're having Neptune enter as well. So we won't really have to wait long. It's a very immediate thing, to my opinion, of this. Politically, you can see how just the retrogrades alone have caused a lot of step back, whether it's in relationship, friendship, car stuff, finances, political stuff, political domestic war stuff. Not necessarily domestic, actually. I think we all know. It's 2025. I think if you've not been under a rock, you know what I'm referencing. But my biggest thing going into all this was, how do I create a new version of me that respects the old version, understands that it's done, and walks into this? You don't necessarily have to like die or rebrand, but how do I respect that version of me and say, how do we do this better moving forward? Especially given the fact that my placement and where Aries is in my chart, the previous lunar total eclipse in Virgo, showing you how you kind of want to do the dishes, the laundry, you want to kind of get everything ready. That was a part of the getting set. When we take a look at where that was in this current chart, we had that opposing the Pisces placements, obviously, like it's Virgo, but it was the moon conjunct South Node. And with that, I found that emotions that I was trying to repress had to come out. So that while Venus and Mercury are now retrograded, I dealt with the emotion and the execution was easy. But wait, you're saying not to execute. The execution of deciding that that's what I want to do moving forward. I have not made the official decision. But just like a football player, the play has already been called. We're already on the line. We're just waiting to actually press the button, block the person, send the text, start the business, take the action, do the leap of faith, move, don't move. Like that is the part that I'm still waiting for come April. On my Instagram, I do post the transits in a simpler form, but something that I said that a few people have already responded to me about is that I don't want to come back saying I should have when I'm in April. That's why I've been very meticulous about my next steps during this period of time. I think you should too. So during this solar eclipse in Aries, don't necessarily start. Just think, you know? Maybe pack all the things you got to throw away and put them on the side of the room. So when the day comes, you can do it. Because maybe you packed a lot of stuff and you're like, wait, I forgot about this one thing. And it's like, you grab it, you look at it, you get your last final moments and say, okay, we're done now. You get to put it back. Or you forgot something connected to that that's in your dresser. And now it's like you got all this ready to be thrown out and you're not going to make a whole bag for that one thing. You probably throw it out, but it's like, why make another trip? We can get it done now because there's a lot ahead of this year. I know it's been crazy, but there's a lot ahead of this year still. So I always believe in the idea, as my parents, my teachers, people around me growing up used to love to say, do it right the first time. And if you don't, learn from someone who didn't. That way, when you make your revisions, you could do it better. But if you have astrology, even though you might not necessarily perfectly see what's coming, you can kind of get a gist. And with that, I think that covers just about this solar eclipse. There are people that could probably tell you more technical things. While I do know more technical things, I feel like getting straight to the point is probably most important. When I look at this, that's what comes to mind. I was looking at American Civil chart. I saw Steve Judd talk about it. I love watching astrology from perspective of other people because I even though I've been doing it for a while, it's nice to see I missed something or I didn't think about something that way, and then it just adds to my data bank. And he talked about American Civil chart with the fact that Jupiter rules the first house, and I'm like, yeah, but then Cancer going there in the eighth house soon, and I was like, oh, and this eclipse in Mars. I'm like, oh, we could be seeing a shift in favor. And I'm like, the sixth house being Taurus in this chart already deals with a lot. So the fifth house now being kind of having this eclipse, and then that's opposing a Libra 11th house, where everything is seen as stable, as good. And I'm like, we might no longer hold the balance of power forever. Maybe we secede from what is seen as safety. So it's a lot to think about politically. But for you on a personal level, I would definitely, and as I try to live the astrology I teach, definitely take that time to still think about what you want. And that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. My name's Liv. This is Combust Astrology. I'm here at Casa Shanti. Take care.